What's up everyone, welcome back to the video, and today we are back with some more Dream SMP, the whole story. That is right, we are back. I'm actually planning on completing this the entire way through for the next few reaction videos, but today's, in terms of story episodes, we have Carl's story, which should be interesting, because we haven't seen much of Carl on the SMP. I think he's been there like twice in like the storyline. He was like the judge during the Lomanberg election, and then he showed up during the actual election itself. But we haven't seen him since. He hasn't been like relevant to the plot since then. But I do also know that Carl also has his like own subplot happening. Like he has his own streams and videos happening elsewhere. He has a whole series thing on his channel. But I've never seen it. I have no idea how it relates to the SMP. But I guess we're going to see today. Might as well just start it. Not that for sure. It's just give me an ad.
Through his time on the Dream SMP, Carl Jacobs has shown himself as one of the most entertaining and friendly people on the server. But the adventures he was about to go on, and the things he would discover about himself, would put into question everything he thought he knew.
What?
This is the story of Carl's Tales from the SMP.
Carl's Tales from the SMP.
Really quick, I want to thank Carl for letting me use the official builds from Tales for this video. These crazy shots really wouldn't have been possible without them. Also, we are literally a few thousand subs away from a million special.
We're gonna move past that. What do we have here? What's happening? This is titled The Village That Went Mad. What? I'm confused.
Carl woke up in shock at what he'd just seen. Where was he? Who were those people? And when did those events happen? It couldn't have been a dream. Everything felt so real. Almost like the universe tried to correct itself, and he found himself caught in the middle.
What?
He wished he could live through it again. Warn the people of what was about to happen. Rewrite their story. That was it. Carl knew what he had to do.
Oh, he
made
lives
his
there.
way past the ruins of Lomanberg to the perfect spot, and began construction.
On what?
And after some mining, crafting, and building, Carl's library was finally complete.
The library?
And although he still wasn't sure what happened that day, something about it felt supernatural. Like he was always destined to live that moment, always destined to remember.
That's so weird.
He made his way inside the library and wrote the story of the village that went mad. He placed this story in an item frame on the wall and headed outside, wondering what other stories the future or past may hold, and when he would travel to next.
This is weird. This is sort of like an egg subplot. Like if you remember, like there was the whole egg subplot that sort of tied into the actual SMP and actually allowed for certain things to happen. I wonder if this is going to do that in the future. Like if the events that Carl is going to end up living through ends up relating to the overall story. Like the reason why it's here in the playlist is because it has an effect later in the story, like the egg story was. Like we would have no context for the egg that was mentioned last episode and the masquerade and the stuff that happened last episode. We'd have no context for that if we didn't see the egg story. Maybe that's why this is actually in the playlist, because if this is relevant, then why would it be in the playlist? Lost City of Mizu. That's what's next.
This time when he woke up, he wasn't alone. 3 fishermen had found him in the back of their cabin, and were just as confused as him about what was going on. They introduced themselves as Benjamin, Charles, and Cletus.
Oh.
And before long, the 3 befriended Carl, who looked quite different and decided to go by Isaac, and invited him upstairs to their dock to go fishing. As he made his way up, Carl noticed a strange book on the ground and picked it up to see what it said. It told a tale of a long-lost city beneath the water, a place filled with history, stories passed from generation to generation. But, the book explained, the residents of this great city had disappeared. Had they just moved to a new home? Or did something much darker consume the people of this long-lost world?
Something darker, I assume.
The book didn't say. But what it did say was more than enough to convince them to try and find out.
Then I implore you.
Struck by wonder, the four adventurers entered their boats and set out to find the fabled city. And after following the book's directions into the middle of the ocean, it wasn't long before they found something. Immediately, the four exited their boats and began to explore the structure.
I mean, that's like
Quickly, Benjamin found a lever and used it to open the locked door at the center of the room.
convenient.
Behind this door was yet another book,
Of
confirming that they were in fact directly above the city of Mizu. They looked around, excitement filling their eyes as Charles flicked yet another lever, opening a secret door in the wall.
Oh!
And as the four adventurers descended down
underwater,
the ladder,
Atlantis.
they found themselves enclosed by the glass walls of Mizu.
Hey, you found it!
But they weren't alone.
Of course they weren't.
A strange man, or whatever he was, introduced himself to the group as Rambob. He looked familiar to Carl.
Is that like a play on words for Rambo? Because he definitely looks like Rambo, but as it said at the bottom, it wasn't. I think Rambo is one of the fishermen. But is that seriously what this is? Just a play on words?
But he couldn't quite remember why. The four introduced themselves and agreed to take a tour of the city from Rambob, who was very happy to see some new faces after so long being alone.
Oh, that's sad.
As the group descended even farther into the city, concern grew over the amount of blood covering the ground. But when Rambob was questioned, he reasoned it was just from the food. The four were still a bit suspicious.
Of course they would.
But regardless, decided to continue exploring the wondrous city. The overall design of the city, Rambob explained, was great. But the real magic that made the city famous was its themed rooms.
Themed rooms?
Each one of these rooms was based on a historic figure from the past.
Scabby?
Rulers of kingdoms, fearless warriors, and noble leaders.
No way.
From a time long before now.
So this takes place in the future. This city of Mizu might be like a future dream SMP like build. Like someone might actually build this, and this is just telling the story of it later.
Carl looked long and hard at these heroes. He didn't know how, but he already knew their stories. He listened to Rambob's tales with a strange feeling of nostalgia, like he was rereading a book he never knew existed.
How do you not know?
The Disc War, L'Manberg.
Yeah.
It all seemed so close, yet so far away.
Why?
They continued to roam the ancient halls of the long-lost city, until they had arrived at the Tree Dome.
The Tree Dome? Yeah. It's a very nice tree, I'll give it that. I mean, understanding in an underwater situation.
Marveled at the sight that lay before them. Branches reaching from the seafloor to the glass ceiling above.
Yeah.
It was perfect. And in their fit of amazement, somehow, Rambob had disappeared.
Oh, come on!
Confused,
Great.
The four began to search for him around the room, quickly discovering a secret room key. The group had no idea what or where this secret room could be, but upon spotting a chest at the top of the tree, Benjamin was sure that whatever was inside would tell them exactly what they needed to know. And it wasn't long before the four decided to send Cletus to climb the tree and see what was inside.
Or would they send someone up?
But as he began to climb, something went very, very wrong.
It broke, didn't it?
Meeting him at the top of the tree was Rambob, who explained to him that nobody who comes to Mizu ever gets out alive.
Oh, great!
The blood, the mysterious disappearing of the people, it all made sense. Cletus, through a mix of fear and confusion, was just barely able to snatch the book from the chest before being consumed by the raging fire.
No!
Quickly,
Cletus!
Benjamin ran over to the base of the tree, catching the book just as Rambob began to light off TNT. The three ran as fast as they could, shutting the door behind them to slow Rambob down and stop the wave of rushing water. They hid in the Skeppy-themed room, which had a clear view of the now flooded tree dome, and opened the book to see what it said. First, it instructed them to head back through the main hall and place the key on the block that didn't quite fit in, to open the door to the secret room. And second, it informed them that this secret room was in fact their best bet at making it out alive.
Why can't they just go back the way they came?
They knew Rambob was already roaming the halls searching for them, and they had to act quickly. And so, the three ran as fast as they could down the main hall, opening the secret doorway and descending even further into the depths of the city. There, they were met with yet another locked door, along with a lava-filled parkour room, which clearly had another key at the end.
Of course it did.
They knew it was only a matter of time before Rambob would find them, and with their backs against the wall, they would have nowhere to run. Someone had to cross the parkour.
Who's good at parkour?
Being a self-proclaimed professional parkour person, Benjamin volunteered
That sounds right.
and began to carefully traverse the pool of lava. Platform by platform, he made his way to the last jump, but upon landing on the last platform, his foot slipped.
No!
And Benjamin fell into the pit of lava.
Benjamin, no!
Carl and Charles were devastated, but they didn't have time to mourn. And right away, Carl decided he would try it next.
How
And this
liquefied
time,
the lava looks.
he didn't slip. And after jumping as far as he could, barely making it back over the lava, the two adventurers placed the key and opened the door to the final room. And of all the themed rooms in this strange city, this
Technoblade.
one felt different.
Or maybe
Much stranger,
Dream?
too dark, and powerful to reside upstairs with the others. And as they marveled at the strange green and black walls, they heard something enter the room.
It looks like
behind
Dream.
them.
Rambob!
Everybody here had an idol that they worshipped,
Is yours
and
Rambob?
mine was Dream.
Yeah.
Nobody leaves here.
Oh! No! No!
No! No! Charles, no! No! What happened? Did you just wake up?
Carl woke up, paralyzed, like he'd seen himself die in a dream. But this time, he knew it was real. He rushed back up to the library and began jotting down the stories he had been told. The stories of his friends, wars he fought in, nations he helped build. He told in great detail the wonders of the strange lost city, and the friends he made along the way.
And lost.
But he noticed something else this time.
What?
During his adventure, he had failed to recognize that the idols of the lost city were his friends. And even now, he felt like he was losing memories he'd sworn to never forget.
No!
And the person he was before these strange adventures suddenly felt much farther
He's
away.
changing,
He was
disappearing.
frightened by this feeling. But realizing there wasn't much more he could do now, he tried his best to remember. And so, he began writing a personal journal alongside the logs of his adventures.
Smart.
This way, he'd be able to track his feelings after each trip, and hopefully learn more about what was happening to him. And as he made his way outside the library, he decided to move on and go about his life on the SMP, wondering where and when he would travel to next.
What's up next? We got Library 2. What chapter's up next? I'm checking. The Masquerade.
This time,
If you're wondering what I'm doing, why I keep moving the screens, because I just want to take a look at the chapter log to see if anything like new and exciting happens. But it seems to be like adventure and then something else. I'm not going to look any further. It's like either way, each chapter is labeled. I want to know what they're labeled, so just so I can get an idea of what's going on. We got the Masquerade next.
Carl woke to find himself standing outside an extraordinary mansion. He'd never seen anything like it. Glowing in the warm, clear afternoon, it looked like the house of an angel. But if one thing's for certain, the owner of this mansion,
It's the pig
Sir William,
himself!
was no.
Technoblade!
Carl made his way to the front door and was immediately greeted by Sir Billiam and his butler.
Sir
After bragging
Billiam!
about his immense wealth, he told Carl that he was hosting a masquerade. And still having no clue why he was there, Carl just decided to play along.
Okay!
Together, the three took a tour of the home. Priceless paintings covered the walls, a dining table as big as a room,
That is
and bedrooms
big.
fit for a king.
Also true.
Before long, the other guests began to arrive.
What do we have?
One by one, they stepped through the grand entrance and into the golden light
I can't
of
tell.
the chandelier. Oliver, Lord
Funny.
Sebastian, James, and Liaria. And whoever this guy is, right away,
Of course
the
it'd be
group
Quacky.
distanced themselves
Of course
from
it
the
would be
strange
him.
man and entered the grand ballroom to begin the party of a lifetime. But little did they know, hidden deep underneath the tranquility and magnificence of the mansion was a dark secret.
Of course there would
It
be.
was about to endanger the lives of everyone within its walls. Just minutes later, as the guests engaged in friendly conversation, well, mostly friendly,
Mostly
the
friendly.
lights suddenly cut.
It's a murder mystery.
Terrified,
Great.
The people ran as fast as they could, hoping to find safety in the endless maze of halls, until the lights jolted back on, and the guests, still shaken up from the event, met by the entrance of the mansion to make sure everyone was okay. At first, it seemed unusually calm, until Sir Billiam realized the strange man was the only one missing.
Oh,
Convinced he
well,
was
that's good.
being robbed, he ordered everyone to split up and find the criminal before.
I mean, I would understand that feeling. Like, if you have just a weird, almost completely naked guy running around your place and then you just disappeared, I feel like it's obviously it's not guaranteed to be robbed. You're being robbed, but it's something to consider.
Before he escaped the mansion. But when Carl found the man, he
Oh,
quickly realized this was much worse than a robbery.
death!
This was a murder. The group panicked.
Great.
They knew they had to figure out who the killer was.
I like the fact that Fundy's the guy playing guy that Fundy's playing has a fox mask on. I like that's such like good detail and it fits it so well.
Was before the lights cut again, or else they risk another guest being killed. Carl mentioned that he had stumbled across a secret passage before he found the body, and that the murderer could have used the secret passage to sneak up behind the poor man and take him out before using the passage to get away quickly. The group agreed, and immediately turned their attention to the butler and Billiam, who were the only two people who would know about the secret passage.
Well, you don't know that.
Billiam stated that he had built safe rooms throughout the mansion in case poor people broke in.
Oh, come on!
Butler just said that he saw nothing. The group was still unsure enough to make an official decision, and so they decided it would be best to look for more of these safe rooms in case the killer decided to strike again. Everyone went their separate ways.
No,
and
don't
as
split
Carl
up.
was exploring the west wing, the room went dark, and the killer hunted for their next victim. Carl sat in the corner of a bedroom, hoping the killer would find someone else first, until he heard the sound of a sword directly below him. As the
No!
lights came back on, he realized that he was just a few planks away from being the next victim. This time, the victim was Liaria.
No, not in your area!
The group was devastated, and Carl demanded that the killer step forward immediately. The group once again suspected the butler, but Billiam stated that the two had been together the whole time.
Oh, maybe it's both of
Having
you.
nothing, the group decided to check the area around the body for any secret passages.
Fair point.
And before long, Carl found a path underneath the stack of barrels that led back to the ballroom. Carl reasoned that the murderer must have seen Liaria go through the secret tunnel before meeting her on the other side to kill her. And the one person who claimed to be inspecting the wine right outside the entrance to the tunnel was Sebastian. Carl ordered Sebastian to follow him through the tunnel alone, and facing the wrath of the rest of the group, he complied. But as the two entered the storage room, the lights went out yet again, and right away the two scrambled to find a place to hide. Making their way upstairs, Carl and Sebastian hurried into a bedroom and hid inside of the closet. Together, the two sat as still as possible, praying that the murderer choose another victim. Until
I don't know what's gonna happen. Oh! Oh my
the
god!
lights jolted back on.
So it's not
Carl
him!
ran as fast as he could into the hall. There, he found Oliver, and quickly the rest of the group arrived outside of the room as well. After explaining what happened, Carl suggested they do the next blackout differently, splitting up into groups of two, so if anyone died, their partner would be guaranteed to be the killer. Everyone agreed, and since there was an uneven amount of people, Carl would go with Billiam, Oliver with James, and the butler would stay by himself.
Why?
The pairs went their separate ways.
Why?
Carl and Billiam making their way to the west wing, while Oliver and James stayed in the east. A few minutes later, the lights cut.
Ah! Wait, no, that doesn't work. Cause what if it's the butler? Cause then he could kill someone and they blame the other person.
And Carl and Billiam immediately searched for a place to hide.
Together, hopefully.
Finding a secret ladder in the closet of one of the bedrooms,
Oh, that works.
the two descended into the small safe room to wait until the blackout was over.
Did you
When the
close
lights
the
turned
door?
on, the two rushed up the ladder to see who had been killed.
Who was it?
And upon exiting the closet, the two spotted Oliver on the bed and James's body on the ground across the room.
No!
At this point, it seemed clear that the killer was Oliver. But Oliver once again claimed his innocence, stating that the butler had done it.
Yeah.
Still a bit unsure,
Now
Carl
this
decided
works.
to buddy up both of the suspects for the next blackout. That way, whoever lived of the two would be revealed as the true killer.
We know that
But he
Billiam's
and
safe.
Billiam stayed completely safe. Oliver was not very fond of the idea, but was told he would be executed for murder if he failed to comply.
I mean,
And so,
when
the groups
there's that strategy works when there's only an even amount. If there's an uneven amount, if you can split up into even groups, then that strategy works. But if groups if there's one person left with one, then it's chalked because you just what if that one is the killer? They could kill someone, and then they would just blame the person's partner. That's exactly what would
They went
work.
their separate ways for the last time.
Well,
And
this
as
strategy
the
is
lights
guaranteed.
shut off and came back on, Carl and Billiam made their way to the entrance of the mansion
Who's
to
dead?
await the killer's arrival. And as they looked around to see if they could spot him, none other than the butler.
Of course, it was the
appeared from another
butler!
room. Carl and Billiam knew they had to run, as the killer had no reason not to kill them both. Billiam
Run!
quickly led Carl into the library, through a secret entrance in a painting, and into his favorite room in the mansion. Right away, something felt off about this room. A dark feeling that seemed to
What?
grow stronger as Carl made his way farther into the room.
What if it's gotta be both of them?
Billiam explained that this room is home to something very special.
What?
This room is where he keeps the egg.
Are you kidding me? Why the hell would you keep hold of that egg? That's probably why the butler went berserk. He probably found it, got trapped in here, and just gone mad because of it. We've seen what this egg can do. We've seen it. Yeah, this egg, not great.
Carl felt memories flooding back to him. The pain and manipulation the egg had caused to some of his best friends. Billiam explained how the egg demanded poor
Wait a minute.
people for consumption, and that
Poor-
the egg was able to persuade the guests to take out each other one by one. Carl
No.
made a break for the door, but was immediately stopped by the butler, who demanded he go back inside.
Nope.
Terrified, Carl nervously agreed and
Because
entered
the only way he
room
leaves
once
is if he
again,
dies, from what we've
and was
seen.
guided towards the egg by Billy.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, and he's gonna wake up. This is new. Yeah, this is the in-between. I saw that chapter when I looked forward ahead. What is this place?
Something about this place felt familiar,
His clothes are
but
all
Carl
white.
couldn't seem to figure out what. A fleeting memory? A feeling of comfort? Or the strange half-consciousness of a dream? All he knew is what he saw. And at that very moment,
Colors.
what he saw was a strange book on the other side of the room.
What's this book?
Walking towards the book, the faint echo of his footsteps rang through the silent air. Was he dead? Was this the afterlife?
I mean, possible.
He opened the book and began to read. The book explained that this place is called the In-Between, and acts as a gateway for traveling in time.
Oh,
The book explained that the In-Between was a place of peace and ease, and held the secrets to understanding and controlling his abilities. He experienced
Carl has
feelings
abilities.
he'd never felt before, like he was living through memories he has yet to make. He continued farther into the castle, walking through the angelic halls until he found himself in the castle courtyard. There, he found another book, this one explaining that although he loses a bit of himself with each adventure,
oh.
one day, through the power held within the castle walls, he could take control of his mind and end the mental decay for good.
Oh, well, that's great.
And finally,
But that requires more
continued
months to decay.
making his way upstairs to aspire.
So it's sort of like it's a very powerful building, allowing you to live through periods of time in the past, the future. I'm assuming the masquerade happens in the future because the egg came on like during the Dream SMP story, so it wouldn't have happened in the past. Anyway, every time he goes through it, he becomes part of this in between. Like a bit of himself is lost into each adventure, but if he controls it, then he controls his mind. He controls the decay. He can get all his stuff back. Hopefully that's the part of it. The decay doesn't just like stop, and he keeps what he has.
Overlooking the courtyard. And as he read yet another book, the unknown author warned him of the importance of keeping his abilities a secret, as well as the importance of his library, suggesting he move it to a much more peaceful land, somewhere well out of harm's way.
Oh, come on.
And as he looked off into the endless void that lied in front of him, he felt the light grow brighter as the feeling of tranquility faded from his unguided soul. And as he found himself writing about everything he'd seen that day, he felt more confident than ever in his newfound purpose and his duty to rewrite history and change the future for the better.
What's next? The Wild West,
The sun
yeah!
beat down from a cloudless sky. Sand covered the ground and a dirt road ran through the middle of what looked like an old western town. It was clear that Carl had traveled back to the Wild West.
Yeah!
After hearing a noise coming from a nearby building,
I don't know why I just said
Carl
that.
made his way over to see what was going on. There, he witnessed a group of people calling themselves the Bandits,
Oh,
attempting to rob
great.
the bar.
Of course.
Hello?
Yeah, we're in the middle or something. You might want to walk on out.
I'm
and
gonna
let
be
us do
honest.
our God.
The thing that you're in the middle of seems a little mean.
This guy says we're being mean.
He said we're being mean.
Says you're being mean.
Yeah, I think you are.
We're
Listen
really
up,
just-
pal. I'm
no.
gonna give you one chance to give me all your booze, all your money,
Yeah,
and
all of
maybe,
it.
Listen.
just maybe, I'll consider leaving your head alive for your mother to see.
Leave him alone.
You're still here. You're still here.
Yeah, I am. I think you guys need to
Get
stop
out
hurting
now.
my friend. Listen, why are you dealing with this? Why are you just allowing them?
I mean, what am I gonna do? I can't shoot for anything. I mean, I have all my fingers, but they barely work. If I'm told.
They're like a foot in front of you. It's point blank range. Just shove it in their face and fire the gun.
Fingers?
Bro,
Listen, I'm
And
gonna
also,
be
he doesn't
honest,
have any
I don't
fingers.
Specifically like you. We have lots of guns and we all know how to shoot, so I think that you guys should leave.
this guy's threatening us. This guy right here.
Guess what, Nancy boy? There's a new sheriff in town.
Oh.
You know what? Just know we'll be back,
That's right. You don't intimidate us. You don't scare us. We'll be right back.
and we'll be coming
Well,
back
yeah.
with our guns and ammo.
Let's go, boys.
As the bandits made their way out of the saloon, the bartender thanked Carl for his help and offered assistance with anything he needed. But Carl,
He's wearing a hat now,
knowing
nice.
he must have been sent here to help this town, was not interested in payment. Rather, he knew it would only be a matter of time before the bandits returned.
Of course it would.
And the next time they showed up, they had to be ready to stop them. Carl
Yeah.
started by asking to meet the other townspeople to convince them to join the fight against the bandits. John agreed, and together, the two explored the town, looking for people to recruit. The town banker,
Yeah.
who wanted revenge after the bandits killed his cat.
Oh, come on! How dare you?
Sherman, a week out from retirement looking for one final adventure.
Of course.
The town criminal, Crops, responsible for
Corpse,
eating
yeah, that's-
12 whole people.
Oh!
12 people! Ron Ronson, the town mailman, who seemed useless but could maybe be used as a human shield.
Oh, come on!
Finally,
Hey.
the clerk, William Williamson, who was tired of being robbed by the bandits and wanted revenge. Together, the townspeople, united in their common hatred of the
Yeah.
bandits, set out to prepare for their return, to take back their town.
Take back
The
the
first stop
town.
was the gun range, where the group gathered weapons and learned to shoot from the sheriff. And after a long day of recruiting and training, the group sat around a campfire at the edge of the town.
This
to
area looks
discuss their
familiar.
plan of action.
This area looks like that spot where the town went mad. Like at the beginning. Does this look like that, like, corner?
Carl reasoned that whenever the bandits arrive, they will most likely choose to settle things with an old-fashioned standoff. And so, the group decided that in the event of a standoff, their three bravest, Sheriff Sherman, Criminal Crops, and none other than the bartender John,
Yeah!
would stand up against the bandits. And as fate would have it, As the sun began to peek over the horizon, the
They're
people heard the faint sound of horses trotting in the distance. And right away, they knew it was time to put an end to their troubles once and for all.
Yeah, man. Ready for the stand-up. It's gonna be the bartender that's gonna win it for them. Guaranteed. Ten paces, folks. One for the good team. Oh! Okay.
Count me down, Sheriff.
All right. 1,
Yeah!
2,
He's gonna lose, isn't he?
3, 4, 5,
Dramatic music is awesome.
6, 7, 8, 9. Shoot!
We did it!
Yeah!
Great shot.
We did it!
Where's his head? Where's his head?
The town has been saved!
At last, he was back. He longed for the feeling of the in-between. The wonder, the safety, the freedom. At least, he thought so. He never knew how the books got there, or why they always seemed to be left like breadcrumbs of a trail he was destined to follow. But he followed them anyway. Their reassuring messages gave him the comfort they promised. But his illusion of solitude was beginning to wear off.
Why? Is there another?
He knew this wasn't a dream. Then what was it? Not a word was spoken, and yet everything was clear.
What?
He followed himself down the hall to the courtyard. But as he stepped around the corner, the sight froze him where he stood.
Let me guess, those
It was
pieces
as
of
if
himself?
every timeline was being played on the same track, like he was living in every time at once. He spotted yet another book and made his way to the center of the yard to read it. Once again, the book warned of what lied ahead, and if he didn't figure out how to control his memories, he would lose himself and everyone close to him.
No.
He looked to the future with fear. How much longer would it be before he forgot everything? Trapped in the never-ending loop of adventures he would write down and forget, a vessel of memories from every time and every life but his own. And for what? He needed to find a way to fix his mind before it was too late. And as of now, the in-between seemed like his only chance of doing that. But still, he felt something inside him fight back. Another side of his mind that wasn't so quick to trust this strange place.
Fair,
As he made
understandable.
his way out of the courtyard, he noticed something he'd never seen before. A small imperfection in the wall. As he
Imperfection.
moved closer to investigate, he found a book hidden inside. This one seemed different. Every other book lied directly in the path he was intended to follow. But this book, for some reason, was hidden. And Carl
Why?
couldn't help but wonder if the book was hidden from him or something else inside the castle. It told him to look under the tree.
Oh.
Confused, Carl began searching around nearby
Good
trees
news.
for whatever the book was leading him to. Until he remembered a large tree just outside the main room and decided to check there. As he explored around the tree, nothing seemed to stand out. But upon looking closer, he found yet another hidden book tucked under one of its roots. But upon opening the book, Carl was completely caught off guard.
Don't
He
stray
didn't
from
know
the
what to
path.
make of the strange message, and so he dropped the book and jumped back onto the path. Finally, he made his way to the island's edge, wondering if the in-between was really as good and as peaceful as it claimed.
I doubt it.
And as the sun gave an orange glow to the pale castle walls, Carl felt reality fading around him, before waking up again in his library.
Good.
After his first visit to the In-Between, Carl was told of the importance of moving his library to somewhere safe. The war-ridden grounds of L'Manberg were too close for something so important. And so, with his closest friends George and Sapnap, he traveled, far away from the greater Dream SMP, to a land untouched by man. Because he couldn't just tell his friends about his abilities, he also couldn't just build the library. So instead, he decided to build a new nation.
A new nation?
A new kingdom, built under peace and happiness, where him and his friends could live away from the chaos of the old world. But to build
This is
such
where
a
he's
grand
been.
nation, the three needed more help. And so, Carl reached out to his friend and talented builder Foolish to help bring his dream alive. For months, the four built the kingdom from the ground up. A castle, a mushroom house, countless fountains and trees. And most importantly, Carl's new library.
Yeah.
Kanoko Kingdom was finally
Kanoko
complete.
Kingdom.
And as the three citizens of the nation, Carl, George, and Sapnap vowed to never let it suffer the same fate as L'Manberg, and to keep peace and prosperity for as long as they live.
How long until that ends? It's our next journey. The Haunted Mansion. I thought we already did that. Was this gonna be actually haunted? 50-50.
Carl woke to find himself in a strange house. Hearing talking from the other room, he made his way over and was immediately greeted by a familiar face. Connor Eats Pants. Carl was surprised to see someone he knew, and quickly realized it meant he didn't travel too far in time.
Well, that works.
Connor explained that him and his friends were just getting away for the weekend, and Carl was welcome to join.
Oh.
And after introducing
That's where
himself
everyone
to the
says
group
their skins.
and getting started with the party, everyone was surprised to hear a knock at the door.
Schlatt.
Connor was confused, as he hadn't planned on having any more guests. And so, he made his way to the door, only to find none other than Schlatt on the other side.
How did you skip the
was shocked.
cave?
The last time he'd seen Schlatt was the day he died. And now, in this strange adventure, they met once again. Schlatt explained that he was the owner of this house, as well as the one next door, and that because the other house was empty, and Schlatt was feeling generous, he would allow them to switch from their small cabin to the next door, grand mansion.
That's not smart.
Excited
Came from
about
a
the
ghost.
offer, the group agreed and made their way down the trail outside, until they stopped. And looking up at what stood in front of them, the group was at a loss for words.
I mean, it's a majestic mansion, I'll say that.
The group entered the mansion in awe. Grand chandeliers hung from the ceiling.
Does Dreams get a
Ancient
mustache?
statues lined the towering walls, and a mysterious structure stood in the middle of the room. But despite its magnificence, Carl couldn't seem to shake an eerie feeling that something was about to go horribly wrong. And just moments later, Schlatt demanded a volunteer.
Oh no.
Confused, Connor took it upon
Oh, come on,
himself
no,
to
don't do
volunteer
that.
as the host of the party, and followed Schlatt to the back of the structure in the middle of the room. But by the time the rest of the group got there, Connor was gone. Schlatt stated that this entire mansion was built as a game, and if they wanted any chance of seeing Connor again, they would have to complete 3 trials.
What trials?
Following each of the 3 main hallways and gathering the Nether Star at the end. But if they failed, Connor would be stuck in Schlatt's hidden lair forever. And after some deliberations and offers to trade people for Connor,
Hey!
the group accepted the challenge. And as they stared down the first hall, it was time for the trials of the haunted house to begin.
What kind of trials are they gonna have to go through? We got mazes, we got parkour, and they got the first Nether Star. And every time someone trial, someone goes missing. There's another. That's not good. They're losing people so fast. Who's next? Two people? It's gonna be just Carl left, isn't it? It's like every time they play a trial, like every once in a while, someone just vanishes. Are 3 people gonna disappear now?
After countless challenges, teamwork, and the loss of some of the group's bravest, the remaining players stumbled back into the hall,
5
holding
left.
the third and final Nether Star. They were relieved, until they realized Schlatt was right behind them. And having passed all 3 trials, Schlatt requested that Carl place the final star in the center of the structure.
No.
And ready to save his friends, Carl took a deep breath and placed the final star.
Oh, it worked.
The group moved carefully down the dark hall,
Be careful.
wondering what they would find at the end of
Dead
the
corpses.
path,
Corpses.
until it reached a dead end. And the only way in was to jump.
Yep. They're all dead. Great.
His friends, every last one of them, were dead. Until he noticed Connor next to him, who explained actually none of them were dead,
Oh.
they were just chilling in Schlatt's hot tub.
What?
And with a sigh of relief, Carl and the rest of his friends celebrated an amazing night.
What's with the skull heads,
Carl
though?
felt reality begin to slowly slip away.
This is getting worse and worse.
This is the in-between, a world you've been to a few times now. Fear not, this is not a place to provoke harm, but a place to feel at ease.
Yeah.
But how much did he really believe it? This time the imperfections were clearer than ever. Had they always been there? Was he blinded by bliss, caged in oblivion by the illusion of utopia?
Possible.
Or was someone trying to talk to him? The first book urged him to find a way to the portal, and that it was more important than he knew. What or where this portal was,
Nether portal.
he didn't know, but he was too interested not to try and find out. He continued exploring the castle, crossing rooms and climbing stairs until he found it. Hidden at the top of the castle and locked behind bars was the portal. He wondered where it could lead, and more importantly, why the castle wanted him so desperately to stay. He longed for answers, and the more he thought about it, the more he believed those answers lie on the other side of that portal. But regardless, he continued to explore, this time unafraid of the imperfections. He noticed the books on the main path start to change, almost like they were trying to convince him of the beauty and magnificence of the castle. He looked
creepy.
upon the other travelers, wondering if they really knew what this place was, or just mindlessly glued to the path.
Awesome.
The hidden books became more and more clear, directing him on a different path, ending back under the tree. This time, he noticed a secret door below the water. He wondered how he could have missed something so clear the last time he was here. He jumped into the water and dove down to the door. And upon entering, he found a book in the center of the room.
What's the book say?
This time, it wasn't hidden. The book explained that it can't see him down here, and that the castle can't be trusted. It said the castle wasn't telling the truth about the other travelers, and that he needed to find a way into the portal.
So we gotta find
All
the
Carl
portal.
could think about was what it might be,
Is there like a
and
future
what was
version of
really
Carl?
happening with the other versions of him. As he swam back up to the surface, he noticed something was different. Sat in a line were 13 books,
Duh.
each the exact same, telling him to stick to the path. He didn't know who to believe. On one hand, the in-between had been good to him. He felt happy and safe there. But were those feelings distracting him from the truth? And what lied on the other side of that portal?
Over the portal.
He made his way back down to the edge of the island, and staring off into the empty sky, he felt reality becoming clear as he was transported back to Kanoko Kingdom.
Oh.
But although he had left the in-between, it never left his mind.
Of course it is.
And Carl knew that no matter what happened in his next adventure, the next time he visited that place, he had to find a way through the portal.
Of course he did. What's next, though?
That day, The sun shined
pit!
extra bright on the Southern Empire, as today was the day that a new general would be crowned.
Oh.
Carl found himself in the middle of the market, and was immediately approached by the Emperor Porcius VII,
Of course he'd be
who, having never seen Carl, assumed he was there to film the Great Games. Having no idea what was going on, Carl played along and was led to the Colosseum by Porcius.
King Emperor Porcius!
Porcius explained that today there would be a great competition, where some of the most vicious gladiators in the land would battle to the death, or at least till someone was knocked out, and the winner would be crowned general of the empire.
Oh.
Next, the two made their way around the Colosseum, descending into the cellar to meet the gladiators. They traversed the dark halls of the cellar. Giant beasts sat caged ready to fight. Weapons lined the walls, and gladiators prepared to fight for their lives. Jackie, who'd been pulled from the street against his will.
Oh.
Legius, self-proclaimed great gladiator. Bartholomew, who was very drunk.
Great.
Watson, the best archer in the empire.
Oh.
Levi, experienced fighter since childhood. John, who was renamed Ugly by Porcius.
What do you mean renamed?
Genevieve, ready to become the first female general of the empire.
Go ahead.
Ran, who was given the first round bye because of his cool name. And Edward, who had always wanted to be general. Carl looked around. Of all these people, only one would be alive at the end of the day.
Or at least
Or
conscious.
at least not knocked out. But there was no time to sit and worry, as Porcius explained that it was finally time for the tournament of the pit to begin.
Who's gonna win? Place your bets now. Leave it in the comments down below. I'm personally rooting for Hannah. Or... I didn't listen to the name. The girl. Who's up first? Don't remember the names. What is that? There's like different structures in the middle with supplies. Different forms of combat. Water, archery, and just melee. And waves. No, run! Ooh, the guy from the street.
After countless battles and intense fighting, Jackie had prevailed as the greatest fighter in all the land. Porcius and Carl made their way to the pit, and there, Jackie would be crowned general of the Southern Empire. But Porcius explained there was one more test Jackie needed to pass.
What test?
One final test of his spirit and tolerance for war. In each of their battles, the loser had only been knocked unconscious. But
He needs to
Porcius
kill them.
explained, if Jackie really wanted to become general, he had to kill them.
All of
Every
them?
last one.
What?
Everyone stood silent, waiting for someone to make the first move. But then, the real war began.
Go after Porcius! Oh, that's new. Oh. Jackie, how could you?
Carl and Porcius made their way across the pit and over to Jackie. It was there where he was officially declared general of the great Suban Empire.
Hail the Suban
crowd roared with
Empire.
excitement as Carl handed the Emperor his camera to show him the footage of the day's event. But as he examined the footage, he realized that Carl had forgotten to take the lens cap off the camera,
Oh my
and
God!
nothing had been recorded. Infuriated, Porcius ordered the general to execute Carl. Carl ran, making it all the way to the stands of the Colosseum before stopping. He felt the world begin to fade away, and as Jackie lunged towards Carl with his netherite sword, Carl closed his eyes as the deafening roars of the crowd and scorching heat of the pit gave way to the eerie quiet
Of course,
of the in-between.
back to the in-between.
Right away, something felt different,
What?
like the whole castle was turning against him. Welcome back. So much has happened all around the world since you've been here. There is so much to learn about yourself. I see you have accidentally strayed from the path recently, and I must remind you, don't stray from the path. Out of control, like his mind was pulling him in two different directions, and at any given moment, the switch would flip the other. Noticed you strayed a bit from the path there. Your mind seems to be playing tricks on you. Let's not let that happen again.
What's happening?
It happened again. The in-between felt like a virus, spreading to every corner of his mind. He had to fight back. He had to get to the point. Stop straying from the path, Carl. I know you more than you do. I know what is right for you. These visions should not dictate your opinion on the in-between. It is safe here.
It doesn't seem
It wasn't
safe.
Safe here. He needed to find a way out before it was too late.
Don't go to the portal. I will see to it that you regret it if you do so. This is not a warning.
The voice is getting deeper.
We will come and make sure you don't stray from the path.
The world spun around him. Time jumped back and forth. He was out of control. Until he saw the torches. Something was leading him down another path. And having no other choice, Carl placed his trust in blind faith and followed the torches to the portal.
To the portal. And everyone's following him. I'd love to see how this looked in the actual, like, episode. Because that'd be so cool. Run, Carl, run! You have to get out of here! Flashing lights warning, Jesus. Come on, Carl, make it to the portal. You've got this!
The two sides clashed in his mind. Should he go? Should he stay? He looked over the in-between one last time, praying that whatever lied on the other side could save him, end this chaos for good, make him feel safe again.
What happens if the in-between's like that actually
And as he stepped into the portal, he remembered his friends. All of them, from every time and place he'd ever been. One last time, in case he would never remember again.
Where are we now? The other side. It's like a dark castle. A dark in between. What? Ah! How dare you? Why do you do this? I didn't expect a part 2. There isn't a Carl story part 2 in here yet. It's not there. What? Maybe he'll show up in other episodes, but why would you end on that? I think in between episodes I'm gonna go watch these, like the actual episodes, to see, like, try to get a better understanding of everything. But I hope you will enjoy this episode of the Dream SMB complete story. Please remember to hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, that way you're notified whenever my new videos come out. And I hope to see you on Wednesday when we play more Echoes of Wisdom. Bye!